Who's scruffy looking?
Welcome back to the Talking with My Hans channel, everybody. If you didn't already see in the title of this video, we have a very special guest at the FAN-terviews episode 3. Chloe at Lightsaber Queen from Twitter has joined us for a nice conversation on how she became a Star Wars fan. Chloe, let me tell you something. It is so nice to have you on the channel.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm just so excited to be here. It's something I've wanted to do for a really long time.
Well, I hope, being on YouTube is something that you've wanted to do for a long time. Being on the Talking with My Hans channel may be a different story, but...
No. I saw your other interviews and I was like, this is something that sounds so fun. I want to do it.
Well, I'm excited too, because I was just telling you off air, I think you're a very genuine person. I think people are very attracted to your content and attracted to your Twitter just because you are very interactive, you're very friendly, you're very approachable. And for a long time, about a month or so, I've wanted to get you on just because you seem like this very interesting and genuine person. So I think you're going to be great, and I really can't wait to start talking to you about Star Wars.
Thank you so much. I think it's just it's just been so fun to be on Twitter because I feel like I can fully be myself, without, I don't know, I don't feel like I have to filter any part of myself. So I think that's why I've been super interactive, with starting my account and everything.
Isn't it sort of a freeing experience? Especially where you are now, you're just today, we're recording this on July 29th, you passed 1,100 followers. Isn't it kind of like this, this freeing experience just to be on Twitter and know that you can be yourself and people are going to like you for it?
Yeah, I love it because honestly, in real life, none of my friends are Star Wars fan. I have one friend that's a Star Wars fan, and I don't see him very often. So to be able to talk about all this stuff, I always have wanted to talk about it, but I've just never really had an outlet for it. So now that I do, I just that's why I'm tweeting all the time, because it's just I constantly want to talk about it.
Well, now you have 1,100 friends that want to talk about Star Wars all the time. I'm so thankful. It's incredible. And you know what? I've watched your page grow from when it was very small. I like to think I was one of your earlier followers, but I'm not sure. You joined recently though, did you not?
Yeah. Oh God, did you see my page in the beginning when I had the cringy, I had some terrible font for my, I didn't even have my name on it.
You know what? I might remember that.
It was so bad.
It's not that bad. But listen, whatever you change is obviously working because people are very much into your page. You tweet constantly, and none of your tweets are very controversial. I shouldn't say controversial, but obviously you're part of this, this every Star Wars is good Star Wars crowd where you are very positive on there, and you have a very healthy outlook on the franchise.
Yes. I think I've seen people that just tend to be oh, I don't like this or I don't like that. And it's not part of my personality anyway. I'm just naturally a positive person. And also everybody's opinion is their opinion. I'm not going to tell you that I don't think something's good or I don't like it as much. There's no point in that to me. And really, I just want to hear people's thoughts on things most of the time. And if it's the same as mine, that's really boring. I want to get different interactions. So I think that's where I really love the all Star Wars is good thing, because it just encourages lots of different conversations.
No doubt. I say the same thing. I love when people interact with me on Twitter. I love seeing other people's outlooks on things. I love going on Twitter and seeing Star Wars in a different way than I saw it yesterday, perhaps. And I think that's part of the beauty of Star Wars Twitter, is that people like you and a lot of other people on there just are themselves, and they share their Star Wars experience. And for better or worse, it really opens up a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, and I think that part's interesting too, because I've had people I'll say, oh, I love the prequels, and I've had people be oh, I don't know why everyone likes the prequels now, the original trilogy is where it's at. And I'm okay, but also I grew up with the prequels, so why not? There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, you know what? You transitioned right into our first question. I was just about to ask you, everybody has their story of how they got into Star Wars, where they saw it for the first time. Me personally, I don't remember what order I watched them in. But what I really want to know from you is not what order you watched them in the first time, not when you first saw it. I want to know, what was the moment when you were watching Star Wars that made you say, I'm hooked? What was that one moment in time while you were watching that you said, this is why Star Wars is for me?
Okay, so this is like kind of a weird progression of things, I guess.
This is
because I watched
the perfect way to start a story.
It's just not, I feel like it's not what other people would tend to say. So I watched all the movies except for Attack of the Clones. I don't even remember why I never had seen that one. Anyway, I watched all those, and then I watched Clone Wars, like, I think when I was in like middle school. I was young when I watched it, and like I liked it and I interacted with the content. Like, it was enjoyable for me. And then I remember when all the like promos started coming out for The Force Awakens, and I was like, oh yeah, like Star Wars, like it's coming out, like I get to go see one in theaters. And like I kind of just like really hyped myself up for it. I don't even know why. Like, none of my friends cared, but I was just like, all of a sudden it was like I just really cared about it. And then like we got tickets to go like at the beginning, and like the only seats that were left were like in the front of the theater where you can like barely see anything anyway. And then like I just remember like everything got dark, and then the opening music played in the theater, and I was just like, oh my god. And then like from that moment it's just been like my thing. I've been obsessed with it.
You know what? It's so funny that you brought that up, because I have brought that up on many a podcast that I have been on. The Force Awakens was such a magical experience to go see. Like,
yes,
what you just said is exactly what I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks now. It was like, just being there to see the opening crawl, like, was worth the price of admission. It was worth that
totally.
wait.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I think you, and I think so many others like myself and many others have that same experience where they had, they accepted that the 6 movies was it. And then all of a sudden they went to go see The Force Awakens, and you're like, this was spectacular.
Yeah, I just remember like I left the theater that day and I was just like in this like whole different world. Like, I could not stop thinking about it. And like, honestly, I think when I went to the theater that time, I must have gotten the flu or something. So I was sick for like a week after I went. But like, even though like I associate having like the flu with like that experience, I still love it. So I feel like that says a lot about
that
it.
Does say
it
a
wasn't
lot.
Fun.
That does say a lot. So is that the movie that you think has made the most impact on you as a fan, or is there a character, or is there a TV show like the Clone Wars that you just mentioned that has made a bigger impact on you? What part of the franchise do you think has impacted your life the most?
I'm tempted to say the Clone Wars, simply just because I spent such a long time watching it, obviously, because there's a lot of seasons and a lot of episodes. Like, it just really got me into all of it, and that's kind of like where I consider my like Star Wars background, I guess, kind of to come from. And also, I guess, like, in terms of like characters, I just feel like I grew up with Ahsoka. I know a lot of people say that on Twitter, but like, especially because like I watched it in middle school, and then like the final season came out this year, and like now I'm in college, and like in the series she's like pretty much, they treat her as an adult now. Like, just seeing that like development, I guess it just had like a really big impact on me, because I felt like it just came full circle. Like, my TV show had grown up with me, and like, I don't know, there's just something really powerful about that.
I'm so glad that there are people out there like you that grew up with the Clone Wars and hold that near and dear to your heart, and cherish that as their Star Wars. Because I think there are many people like you from all different sorts of generations. I think when the original trilogy came out, there are millions of people that hold that near and dear to their heart. And then there are people that hold like Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, that series near and dear, like that was their Star Wars experience. And
exactly.
I think it's really cool that there are people like you that cherishes Star Wars media that is not particularly conventional. It's not a major blockbuster, and I think that speaks to the enormity of the franchise. I think someone like you really speaks to how deep the franchise can go.
Yeah, just how it like impacts every single person in a different way. Like, there's no one moment for everyone. I think that part, it's really cool because people can share all those experiences, and then that's what makes it so much fun to talk about, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? Speaking of Star Wars experiences for you, I want to know what experience in your Star Wars fandom life has been the most surprising for you. What you're laughing, so this has got to be a good story. What one surprised you the most?
Okay, so like I used to be really scared of like all types of like science fiction movies when I was like a kid. And like when I first watched Star Wars, I was like slightly terrified of it because like I don't even know why. Like I just kind of had like this fear of like science fiction
It's
movies.
not
Like
that scary. It's not like even
it's
remotely a
not.
scary movie.
No, it's literally not. And like so like my dad got me to watch it. So I watched The Phantom Menace and then I don't remember why we skipped Attack of the Clones. So anyway, and then we watched Revenge of the Sith. And then I just remember I kept thinking that like the movie was gonna turn around and like Anakin wasn't gonna turn to the dark side. And then I was like, it's gonna turn around, like because I was like I in that kid mentality where I was like, everything is good, everything is so good. And then like I just saw the ending, like I saw him get cut in half and I was like, oh my God, like I was in like a depression. Like it was like intense for me.
That's funny. And you know what? That movie, every year that goes by, the more I think about Revenge of the Sith as one of the very few movies in general where the bad guys win.
Yeah.
You know, like the bad guys like very much win in that movie.
Oh
and
yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
like, no question.
I don't know many movies in general that have that sort of dark ending.
Right. And like I just didn't expect it.
Yeah, as a kid, you're like, oh, surely he must come around and save the day. But like, he just doesn't. Like, he just.
No. And I
That's
just
funny.
remember being like, I was just like, I mean, I'm not really a sad person, but like, that just hit different that time.
That's so funny. That's really good. I have never heard that. I've never heard anyone say anything like that. That's so good. Well, anyway, let's talk about then, if we're going to talk about depressing moments, if you will, let's talk about maybe your least favorite thing in Star Wars. So go from surprising to now, what has probably been your most disappointing moment from Star Wars?
I'm trying to think. Honestly, I haven't had a lot of disappointing moments. Like in general, like it's been like a mostly positive experience. I think maybe The Last Jedi would be one of my more disappointing experiences just because I hated seeing Luke's death on screen. That was just really painful for me. I don't even know why necessarily, but like it's not a movie that I go back and rewatch because like it just I don't know, it's like painful for me to see. So I guess that would be my like disappointing experience.
You know, I remember seeing your ranking some time ago. And now I loved your ranking. I thought it was great. And I remember seeing The Last Jedi at the bottom and I was like, wow, like I would have never guessed.
I had so many people ask me about it.
It really is surprising that it's all the way down. I mean, you ranked it below movies like Attack of the Now, I'm not going to judge you for it because
I love Attack of the Clones. I'm just going to put it out there.
You do, and I should ask you about that maybe after this, but like I too have some suspect rankings, but like that one down there, I was a little bit like, wow, I would have never guessed. But anyway, now that you've brought it up, why don't you talk about your love for Attack of the Clones? Because that is not something that a lot of people have.
Okay, so I think some of it, like I didn't watch that one in order, so then I kind of just have like a different perception of it because I didn't really compare it to the other ones when I saw it, I guess. Like I feel like maybe if I'd watched it in order, I would have been a lot more judgmental of it. But since I just watched it later, I know a lot of people really don't like the dialogue in that movie, but like being a person that's like really socially awkward and is like surrounded by engineers that are socially awkward all the time, like it's just so funny to me. Like
you probably relate a little bit closer than most.
I totally do. Yeah.
You like, know a couple really of Anakins, don't you?
Oh yeah. There's been some interesting experiences that way.
Well, then maybe I have to start another podcast just for that because that does not fit the brand that we're on. But boy, I'm sure I would love to listen to those stories. Let's talk about this. You said that this whole Twitter thing has been a passion project for you, and that kind of leads me to my next question here. And I want you to sit down and give me your pitch. I want you to tell me if Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger sat you down in a room and said, here's a blank check, write us a Star Wars film, write us a Star Wars show, write us a Star Wars book. What is your story?
Okay, so first of all, I think I'd be writing a book, which is probably not a typical answer that you'd hear, but that's partially because I'm actually working on a book anyway. That's one of my other side projects.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I love creative writing. Like I can sit at my computer and write for hours. It's just a passion for me. That being said, I think honestly, I think I'd want to focus on some aspect of the Star Wars universe involving non-Force users because I feel like there's not a lot of discussion about that. And like I'm kind of just interested to see like the Star Wars universe from the perspective of a non-Force user because we really don't get to see it that often with all the content that is out.
Certainly. You know, I've never asked you this question, and I don't know if anybody else has ever asked you this question, maybe on Twitter. How much of the Star Wars literature have you actually read?
Okay, so this is on my project list of things to do. So I actually have started at the beginning, I think. I'm currently reading, I'm going to tell you, because this is the first Star Wars book that I'm reading. I'm reading the Raven book.
Whoa, you're reading Revan's book. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how much of the Star Wars canon have you actually read?
I haven't read that, actually. That's probably embarrassing, but...
Now, listen, you just because you triggered my brain here, there are some absolutely fantastic non-Force user stories in Star Wars canon right now.
Okay.
If you ever get a chance to read Alphabet Squadron, please do. If you ever get a chance to read Lost Stars, please do. You would absolutely die. I think if there was any book that was written for you, the more I talk to you, the more I converse with you, Lost Stars would go straight to the top. I'm putting it on my list. I write it down somewhere right now. I expected a Twitter picture. I expect the whole thing when you ordered this thing because I'm not kidding you, Chloe. It was written for you.
Okay, I'm going to read it. I'm committing to read it.
I've said this on other podcasts. That was the first Star Wars book I've read ever in my life was Lost Stars. And it's 450, 500 pages. I mean, it's a long read.
That's a decent read.
I read it in 2 days. That's how good it was.
That makes sense.
I read almost 300 pages a day. I was like...
That makes sense.
It was that good. Claudia Gray hits it out of the park every time. But I expect you to tag me in this photo after this video goes live when you've ordered this thing.
I will do it.
I hope so. Anyway, I'm really surprised that you would have written a book.
Yeah, I think, well, part of it's just, I can't see myself really working with like a TV show or a movie. It's just, I'm not sure why. I just can't envision it. But like the book just seems really tangible to me. I feel like because I've been working on creative writing for like probably 6 years now, like just as a side project. So
do you feel like creatively a book in the Star Wars universe opens up doorways that you can't go into in a film or a TV show?
Honestly, I feel like yes, because I feel like sometimes with the films and the TV shows, people are like a lot more critical of the direction that they get taken in versus like the books. I haven't seen that much negativity about books so far on Twitter, but I could just not be seeing that side of things either. So
interesting. Very interesting. That is not I'm really surprised about the book answer. I have not gotten the book answer yet, and I'm very surprised. That was a great answer. And I just told you to purchase Lost Stars, and that leads perfectly into the next one that I want to talk about. What Star Wars purchase has been your most shameless? I think everybody has like that one stupid thing that they bought, like Star Wars merchandise wise, where they're like, this was $400. It's the stupidest thing I've ever bought, but like I needed it. Do you have one of those things?
I have like a most expensive purchase that a lot of people would think is maybe just kind of ridiculous. And then I also just have like a story of like, I don't know what I was doing.
And I want to know both. I'm not sure which one.
Okay. So the expensive thing is like Coach, the brand, like the design brand, whatever. They came out with like the Star Wars collection. So, and I happened to go to the outlet, like I think it was in March. Maybe March, I don't know, sometime earlier this year before all the like COVID stuff, and they had one Star Wars bag left, like the iconic like purse. So I have like the iconic Star Wars like limited edition like expensive version of it, and that's probably like my most expensive purchase, and honestly no regrets. Like I love it.
That is incredible. I don't think there are many there. I bet you there's not many people that have what you have right now. That's crazy.
I was so excited.
I was about to say I have this cool lightsaber, but you have like this actual limited edition. Like, wow.
I'll have to post a picture of it on Twitter because I feel like I haven't said anything about it. But
people will swoon. They will be like, "Oh my god, please send that to me." And you're gonna be like, no.
I'm like, it's mine.
I want to know your weird story as well.
Oh, okay. So this was like after The Force Awakens came out. I was just like really passionate about it. Like, I mean, you could ask anybody in my family. I was like nuts about it. I wouldn't shut up about it. Like, not that I shut up about it now, but like it was worse then. So, and I think I ended up going to some store with my mom and I like wanted to buy a Star Wars t-shirt, which like that's pretty normal, but like I think they didn't have any like adult ones left at the store I was at, and they only had like this kid one that was like the wrong size and like it was not gonna fit me, but I liked the design on it. So I just like I convinced myself to buy this t-shirt that like did not fit me just because I liked the design on it, and like I wasn't gonna wait for the other ones to like come in or order it or anything. Nope, I just bought this kid t-shirt that didn't fit me. So I think that's probably like my most ridiculous purchase because I think I've worn the shirt like twice.
That's hilarious. It doesn't fit you at all, like not even in the slightest.
Now it fits me, but when I bought it, it didn't fit me because I've been on like a weight loss journey over like the last.
Wow.
Well, not this year, but like at the beginning of college. So now it does.
Congratulations.
And I also had to, thank you. I had to cut the shirt a bit and like make some fashion adjustments so that it looks better. So I did that. But
well, now it's really yours. Like now you can say this is a one of a kind limited edition.
Oh, totally. I'm saving it for like a special video now.
God, we're going to get into your videos later because I do want to talk to you about YouTube and what you're starting up, but that's not for right now. What I do want to talk to you about is Twitter. Again, I know we already touched on Twitter, but you're obviously a huge presence over there. Obviously, you gain a lot of traction. You get a lot of people passing by through your page.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it is positive from what I can see.
Yeah.
Do you find Twitter to be, at times, a little bit unhealthy?
I have to say, like with my experience personally so far, I haven't really found it unhealthy. I mean, I might just be seeing it from like a really lucky perspective, I guess, but I haven't really had any downright negative experiences. I think there was one time that somebody left like a really nasty comment on one of my posts, but like a bunch of my friends like DM'd me immediately and like got it reported and everything. So like I didn't really have to worry about it. But other than that, I can't really think of anything.
I don't know if you're lucky, because I feel like in the last couple of months, Star Wars Twitter is kind of, I should be knocking on wood, sort of turned a corner maybe into a more,
I've seen things, but
a more positive experience. I don't, obviously there is that negativity over there. I don't think anybody can deny that.
Yeah.
I think that's what keeps Twitter interesting sometimes, is these people that are like maybe a little bit too far off their rocker, which maybe I should get them on this podcast just because.
Honestly, yeah.
But I don't know if you're lucky. I do think you as a creator have a lot to do with it. I think
that's true.
I do think you post 110% positive things.
Thank you.
I've never seen you put down anybody. I've never seen you really post anything negative. And that, as a creator, is probably harder to do than to be negative all the time.
Yeah, I think it can be hard. I think I've learned my lesson, like especially using my platform on Instagram just to keep all the negativity off it, because it really doesn't help anyone. And like my goal is always for somebody to come across something that I post and like have it brighten their day, not to see it and be like, oh, that's not what I wanted to see.
And you know what?
So
that it really speaks to your character too, I think, just because you have not had a disappointing Star Wars experience. You've not, I don't know why I said universe. I don't know what I was thinking. You have not had a disappointing Star Wars experience. You have never been really disappointed with the Star Wars movie, and I feel the same way. I know exactly how
Yeah.
you feel, but like the fact that you are that genuine and that you've actually had that experience, I think really shows on your Twitter.
I hope it does.
I want
That's
you.
always what I want to say.
I want you to talk a little bit about maybe what you have coming up for Twitter. Do you have anything special on there, or is this going to be a positive outlook all the time? Because listen, I'm down for it 110%.
Honestly, I'm kind of not sure about what I'm going to do with my Twitter right now. I kind of would like to post like some short videos on the timeline. I think I kind of wanted to experiment with just like shorter videos, like I don't know, Star Wars Fact of the Week, something like that. That's just like fun and like a quick snippet. Because like I'm used to like posting on Instagram with like the boomerang thing, so like I kind of want to do that type of idea, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I think I just want to keep talking about Star Wars at this point, and I do want to get into YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm kind of exploring that avenue right now. But there's kind of a lot of stuff up in the air, especially because I'm going back to school in a month.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much time I'm going to have for everything.
No, I totally feel you. But you know what? I do want you to talk about YouTube because
Okay.
I think a lot of people would love to follow you on YouTube. What kind of content do you want to make? What are you looking to do? Is it the same sort of thing? Like, do you want to do that short thing? Oh, you have a whole plan.
Oh, you know, this is like a full, like, I have like so many, I probably have like 30 video ideas. Like, it's crazy. So I think I definitely want to start out with doing like a ranking of all the movies, but like talking through it, because I feel like you can post it, but that doesn't really say everything. Like, I want to explain it because like you get a lot of questions, and like I just would want people to like see it from my point of view rather than just look at it and be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I don't like it. So I definitely want to do that. And then I'm planning to rewatch the Clone Wars and then do like a review for every single season.
Okay.
I want to do the same thing with Rebels, and I want to do the same thing with Resistance. And then I definitely want to start doing book reviews when I start working on the massive list that I have of books to read.
Boy, I do know about those book reviews, let me tell you.
Your book reviews are great.
Look, this is not about me. Don't you make this about me. The book reviews, man. My YouTube's a book review channel. I never expected it to be a book review channel, but that's the Star Wars content we've got in the last couple of months. But you would have a sort of a unique perspective, I think, doing book reviews, just because you are a self-proclaimed very good creative writer, and I don't blame you. I'm sure you are. I would love to read some of your stuff personally. I would love to. But you have that creative mindset, and I think that would bring something really cool to YouTube.
I would love to talk more about like my writing. So I honestly want to expand it to doing book reviews and movie reviews for stuff other than Star Wars too. But I don't know at what point I would expand it to that, because I feel like at this point, a lot of the stuff I talk about is Star Wars. A lot of people I communicate with, we communicate about Star Wars. So that might be more of like a long-term transition type project.
Yeah, certainly. But you know what? I think there's a lot of people out there that would love to listen to that. I think that there's a big following for you out there, and I'm glad I do. And I honestly, just from how long have we been talking now? I don't even know. Just from the half hour we've been on. I mean, you obviously. I know you say you're socially, awkward, but you come off as a very, free flowing. You're doing very good. But I do think that would be really cool, and it's something that the Star Wars ranking idea for you to open up your YouTube is something that I just recently did over on my YouTube as well, and it's sort of interesting. Everybody has their own Star Wars ranking, and not everybody gets a chance to explain it, and I think that might be the coolest part of doing that.
Yeah, because I see a lot of other people's, and like I don't necessarily have the same one, but like I would want to hear why what parts of each movie made it rank that way. Because maybe it's like a part of the movie that I didn't pay that much attention to, or like I didn't think about it the same way. Like I just always try to remain open-minded, and like I would just love to hear other people's point of view on that.
Absolutely. And you know what? The fact that you love Attack the Clones and that it relates to you because you know Anakin Skywalker's in real life, like I mean, that's amazing. Like that is that's one of those things that like you just touched on, is like there are these little pieces of people's lives that you don't know how they interacted with Star Wars and how Star Wars reacted with that, and why it could feed into that ranking.
Yeah, there's so many things that like affect rankings, or like I even did one for, I think, Marvel movies. I did one for like the Matrix movies, but like it's just everything hits every person like different, and like I have certain experiences that I associate with certain ones. So like I would just want to talk through that too. Probably actually want to do one for Marvel as well, because I'm a huge fan of everything Marvel.
Do you think that Star Wars as a franchise is as popular as it is because of that? Like, because it touches people in so many different ways and everybody has a different experience with it. Like, do you think like that is one of the reasons why if people like you and I meet on the internet, or why people come together around it?
Yeah, I definitely think that's a huge reason. I also think another reason is just because there's so much content with it. I think it's kind of similar to Marvel in the way that there's just so much to consume. And like it's really cool to talk to other people, because like the odds that you watched all the same movies or read all the same books from like either universe is like not that likely. Like just to run into somebody like, oh, I've watched, like, I, in terms of the movies, probably for most people, yes, but in terms of like the extended universe, it's rare. So you often get like a really different point of view, or you learn things. Like I have people comment on my tweets things that like I have no idea about. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like thanks for telling me. So I think that's what keeps it kind of going.
No, you're absolutely right. It's if I've noticed that certainly on Twitter, especially just the melting pot of people that kind of, interact on a daily, and you learn their life experiences and how it relates to Star Wars. It's one of the things that keeps me coming back and doing this is learning people's life stories and how they relate to Star Wars, like yours. That for me, more than anything else, is probably the most interesting part of the Star Wars franchise, is the people in it.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk about something that you just briefly touched on, briefly, just a little while ago, and that's Rebels and Resistance. The two shows, not including The Mandalorian, that
why did I not say that? Shoot.
Well, it's new. I don't blame you. We all love The Mandalorian. It's almost like everybody just loves it. It's like not even that controversial. Like it's just on its own pedestal.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk to you about Rebels and Resistance, which you have watched both of. I've
actually watched Rebels, but not Resistance. I've watched the beginning of Resistance.
Okay. Resistance, great kid show. I watched every episode as it came out. Do I regret it? There are a few half hours I'll never get back, but it was for kids. It was a great kid show. It's worth the watch if you're a fan. But I want to talk to you about Rebels because over the last year, I'd say, maybe even less than that, maybe even 6 months, Rebels has gotten a lot of praise. And I love Rebels got me through college, personally. Like every week when that came out, I watched. Like that was the show that got me through college. In your mind, obviously Clone Wars is sort of your baby, right? Like obviously like that is your child.
Oh no, I love it. Yeah.
How do you rank Rebels against the Clone Wars?
Oh man, this is hard. Okay, so
I only ask hard questions.
No, I like it. I have a lot to say about it, I think. I say it's second to Clone Wars, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me for saying that, because it's not because I don't think the content's good. It's simply
I can hear
just
people
because
typing right now.
I grew up with Clone Wars.
Right.
Like it just simply has to do with the fact that it's like nostalgic for me to like go back and watch it, because like I remember watching it when I was like younger, and like I feel like I grew up with the characters.
Absolutely.
And Rebels, in all honesty, I watched a lot of it, and then I like stopped watching it. I want to say like at some point in like the third season, and then I just never finished it. So then I made a point to go back and like rewatch the whole thing, obviously. And like the second time around, I paid a lot more attention to like details in the Star Wars universe by that point, and like I felt like I knew a lot more. And like once I had that additional information and went back and watched it, I absolutely loved it. But I feel like it's a show that's hard to connect with if you don't have a lot of additional information from the Star Wars universe.
No, and you're right. That is one of the things that I have made a note of in my head. I have not heard a lot of people actually say that, but Rebels does very much rely on itself. I mean, there are
Yes.
obvious connections, right? Like there are the
Yeah.
obvious ones, but Rebels does very much rely on its own internal storytelling, whereas the Clone Wars doesn't rely, but the external storytelling, like the other stories, the movies, the characters from the movies, play a
Right.
huge role in that show.
Oh, giant. Yeah. Like, if you watch the movies, you know the characters in Clone Wars. If you watch the movies, you don't know the characters in Rebels. And I think that's why I didn't initially connect with it.
That's interesting. And you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because I think there is a whole nother subgroup of people that love that Rebels follows one group of people, where the Clone Wars was
Yeah.
sort of this anthology, this collection of
Yeah.
stories from all over the place. Obviously it has a core set of characters, but there are
But
arcs
there's
that
the
don't
episodes
have
that are
those.
out there. Yeah.
And that was something for me as I grow older that I feel like I love more and more about Rebels. But I think this should not be about me. I don't know why, but I feel like, and comment if you think that this is true in your world too, Chloe. There are some episodes of Rebels that absolutely hit emotionally in places that the Clone Wars never did.
Yeah, I definitely have to say, like, watching the 3rd and 4th seasons, like, especially like as more of an adult than like when I originally was trying to watch the show, like, I definitely had some feelings towards that like, it was hard. Like, I was emotional about it when I was watching it. I just have to say that. Like, it was on my mind after I was watching it. It stuck with me.
And don't get me wrong, there are some episodes of Clone Wars that are emotional. I mean, there are.
Yeah.
And especially in this last season, I'm sure you can definitely relate.
Well,
that
the
there
last
are...
season was a whole different thing.
What? Just real quickly, that last season, especially the Siege of Mandalore, please tell me that was not the craziest, anxious roller coaster you've ever been on in Star Wars.
Oh my gosh. It was, first of all, it was crazy because I was like going through like a bunch of weeks of exams when it was all coming out. I had like 6 weeks of exams like last semester, which nobody should ever have. It was terrible.
Oh, that sounds brutal.
And so like, I think episode 10 came out, and then I thought that was the last one. I don't know why. I was like so disillusioned from everything I was studying, like all the math and the science and everything, that I just like forgot that it wasn't the end. So I like watched it and I was like, well, that's kind of anticlimactic. Like, it didn't really end. And then I saw that there were more. Like, I don't even know how I forgot that. Like, it's so embarrassing. But then like I went back and I watched the other ones when they came out, and I was like, oh my God. When I watched the last episode, I literally just like had to sit in my bed and just like process it, because I was just like in shock, and like the music kept coming in, and I was like, oh my God, like train wreck, literal train wreck for like a whole week after I watched it.
That last arc, the Siege of Mandalore.
Oh,
absolutely. I mean, just the whole time I was watching it, in the back of my, like, you just know like what's coming in the end. Like you're just like, and you're dreading it. You're like, please no, please no, please. It's almost like the same thing that you talked about with Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, it was. It's like you have something in the pit of your stomach, and it's like you just like have that feeling of like dread. You're like, I don't want to see it happen. I don't want to see it happen. I don't want to see it happen. And then you see it, and you're just like, oh my God.
It was wild. It really was wild, wasn't it? And that was, I think the Siege of Mandalore, and you can obviously attest to this, was probably the emotional peak of the Clone Wars.
I think so. Well, that, or at the end of season 5 when Ahsoka left, that was extremely emotional.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I will agree with you there. I don't know why that didn't cross my mind, but that absolutely does. That was a tough moment.
I was so sad.
I can't imagine watching that for the first time.
Yeah,
I have no idea when or where I saw that episode, but I'm sure it was a brutal time.
It was dark.
I still feel like, though, in that last season of Rebels, there are some episodes that like you just go on this string of like, ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Why am I watching this? Like, World Between Worlds, like that one hurt for me. Jedi Knight hurts. Like the last 5 episodes of that show are just like,
oh my God, I know. it's like so painful, but the content is like so good. Like it's so well written.
I
Like
I
it's just
almost
that
feel. Go, keep going, keep going.
it's like that balance between like it's so like the content is so good you want to keep watching it, but it's like
Uh huh.
also so emotional that you like need to take a break for yourself because like you're so attached. And like
Absolutely.
I think because it follows the same characters the whole show, it's like so hard to see that type of tragedy happen. Whereas I feel like in Clone Wars they showed a lot of tragedy, but it was not always associated with characters that you were super connected to.
Right. And you know what? Clone Wars will go down in history, obviously, in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
It's probably overall the best show that Star Wars has done. I mean, we'll have to wait to
Yeah.
see for a couple more seasons of The Mandalorian because
Right.
I'm certain that it's going to get better. But
Right.
they're both Rebels and the Clone Wars carry this sort of feeling with them where you feel like you go on an adventure with these characters. Like you feel like
You
you go
do.
through things with these characters, and that makes the endings like really tough to watch. You know?
I know. Yeah, it's really tough. Like I get really attached to characters personally, I guess because like I've always had a really hard time like making and keeping friends. So like I get really attached to fictional characters because like what else can you do sometimes? But then sometimes when these shows get like depressing or like things are hard to watch, that's like it's so hard for me.
No doubt. No doubt. All right. One more question. I promise. You have been an absolutely
Okay.
fantastic guest. I'll give you
Thank
all
you
the
so much.
opportunity in the world to plug anything you want to plug at the end of the show. But I really want to know, and feel free to go on and on and on and on about this question. I want to know, in what way has Star Wars impacted your life the most, you think?
Honestly, I think it's given me something to look forward to in times when I've been like going through a lot or I've had a lot to do with school because obviously I'm in engineering, so I have a ton of pressure on me. It's
Maybe
super
this.
high
Wait,
stress.
this isn't the last question. Keep going.
So I think like during those high stress times, it gives me kind of like an escape from all of that. And now that I have like this community of like friends, it's like another place I can go when like things get really tough. So like between like connecting with like really awesome people like you, like that's part of like the beauty of all of it. And then obviously all the films and the shows and everything I love to rewatch. It's kind of just it's like another whole family for me.
That
Yeah.
is a fantastic answer. That is
Thank you.
absolutely the answer that I was looking for. And you're so right. I mean, I just share with you that Rebels got me through college. I mean, that was like, and you know, and so do the movies. Like every year you have something
Yeah.
to look forward to. And that's really, no one has said that yet. And it's very true. It's very,
Yeah.
very true that Star Wars has so much content and it comes out so frequently that it really does give you
does.
something to look forward to almost monthly.
Yeah, like it's something that you want to be a part of because it's like it never goes away. Like it's always just there's somebody bringing up something new, there's some new content, something people are excited about. Like there's just infinite possibilities.
That is a fantastic answer. And I will give you all the opportunity to plug your social media and tell people when you're starting up this YouTube because I'm going to be the first subscriber, I swear. But I want to talk about your Twitter bio, and I want you to explain. I just pulled it up on my computer. I want you to explain how you're going to build a TIE Defender with an ion engine in the atmosphere. That seems to me like a break in physics. But I will tell you this: the TIE Defender is my favorite TIE. So if you can pull this off, please let me drive it.
You're gonna order one?
I will order one. I don't care what. I hope I would get some sort of discount, maybe like 10%.
Oh, yeah.
But like, please tell me how you're going to do this.
Okay, so this is like a multifaceted plan, and obviously I am not an aerospace engineer, so for some portions of this, I would be relying on other people because engineers always work in teams. That's like probably the most important thing in the entire field. We never work alone. So
You're dropping
I
some
think-
knowledge on us right now.
Yeah, so engineers pretty much always work in teams. So you're gonna have a variety of people. I'm under chemical engineering and polymer engineering and materials. So I would be working with the outside of the TIE Defender and how it would deal with hyperspace and the elements and like over time, like how the material stays intact.
Okay.
So this is a little bit of a backstory. I actually have been to NASA 3 times.
I love it.
For student panels on, well, one of them was for a mission to Mars, one of them was for an environmental mission, and the other one was for commercial resupply on the International Space Station, which is like sending supplies to support the astronauts and implementing systems and science research on the station. So from those experiences, I have toured a number of quite interesting labs and seen some interesting technology that's piqued my interest, I guess you could say, to the point where I know that I want to work in the aerospace industry. So then that's kind of where the next phase of my plan comes into place. I'm planning on getting my doctorate in engineering, actually, which is crazy to say because it's not super common. Yeah, so I would like to be a doctor of materials and chemical engineering. That's my end goal. And then from there, I would like to be able to go to NASA and work on a spacecraft project, which might be this.
Which might be the TIE Defender.
Yes.
That was an awesome story. That was crazy. I can't even imagine the pain and suffering that you're going to go through because I went and got my bachelor's degree. Where I am, you're going to be out here doing like actual things. This is crazy.
I'm just going to be locked away in a lab.
No, listen, going to NASA and seeing all that stuff, you must have been blown away.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think it was like a couple of years ago now that I went, and like, I'm still in shock over some of the stuff that I have seen there, like videos of things I have there, the people I met there. Like, overall, it was just an insane experience. Like, the robotics there, oh my gosh. Like,
I'm sure, especially for someone like you that can appreciate the nuance of it, I'm sure you are absolutely grounded.
And like, especially like in Star Wars with droids being like so.
Oh, you must love
like,
that.
Oh my God, I do. I totally do. I'm like a nerd for all of that portion of it. But I'm the person that like out of like the Marvel universe, I love the Black Panther movie because it talks about all the technology. You get to see all of it. So you can imagine how I am like in the Star Wars movies with like all the droids and all the ships and everything. Like it's nuts for me.
That is awesome. Chloe, you have been an absolutely fantastic guest. I know I've said it already, but this has just been absolutely wonderful the last. How long have we been talking? Almost an hour.
I don't even know.
Almost an hour. And
you're right.
The whole hour has been absolutely fantastic. So I want to give you a chance to plug places where people can find you on the internet. Please tell the people how they can follow you.
Okay, so obviously there is my Twitter account, which is @lightsaberqueen, and I think it's minus the E. I should know that, and I don't. That's really embarrassing. And then I am launching my YouTube channel soon. I will be posting the link to that when my first video is coming out. So you all can stay tuned for that. And then this is just like a random side plug. And I probably shouldn't even be plugging this because I'm not sure anybody even cares. But if you randomly decide that you want to learn something about fitness or you want to follow my life in engineering, I do have a lifestyle page on Instagram. It's @ChloeMichelleFit. So, and I interact with everybody on there. So you can always say, hi, I'm from Star Wars Twitter, and I'll say hi, of course. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, she does it all. She does Star Wars. She works out. She's going to get a doctorate in engineering. She's got it all going for her. I swear to God. Chloe, once again, thank you for coming on. We got to get you on again. This went too good for you not to come on again.
Oh, we have a lot more stuff to talk about, I think.
Oh my God. Well, thank you once again. Thank you for plugging all your stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anyone that I'm going to recommend to go follow, to go interact with, to go have a conversation with, even if it's just one time, please go talk to Chloe. Go talk Star Wars. She's absolutely fantastic. She'll get back to you on Twitter. She is always posting great stuff. She's always positive. She's always going to bring a smile to your face. And that is not something that you can find in the everyday world all the time. So once again, Chloe, thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely my pleasure. And thank you everyone that listened to this whole thing. I hope you guys had fun. If you want Chloe to come back, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do these fan interviews all the time. I got so many more of these coming up. You have no idea. I got 3 coming up for August. So please stick around for those. Obviously, hit the subscribe button. And if you like the video, please leave a like. I've said it before, but you guys have no idea how much just subscribing and liking and commenting means to me as a creator. It absolutely keeps me going and it helps the channel out so much. You can check out all of Chloe's links down in the description. And until next time, everybody, I'll see you guys later.